Welcome to Fantastic Vision. Please subscribe us before you watch today's video. Since the United States has increased the import of Chinese chips layer by layer, all major chip manufacturers have been greatly affected. Recently, the United States has joined hands with Japan and the Netherlands to sign a tripartite agreement. Japan and the Netherlands have successively announced export controls on semiconductor equipment. This time, Japan can be said to be charging into battle for the United States. Among the restrictions on semiconductor equipment announced by Japan this time, 23 types of semiconductor equipment in 6 categories are involved. Almost all the equipment needed for chip manufacturing is included in Japan's restrictions. Within range. Chinese companies have not yet felt the negative impact of the restrictions, but Japanese companies can no longer stand it. Japanese lithography machine companies Nikon and Canon planned to enter the Chinese market last year when ASML was restricted in shipments, but they did not expect it to be their turn before long. Now Nikon and Canon are also restricted in shipments and entered the Chinese market. The dream can be said to be shattered. Not only that, because Japan's export restrictions are stricter and more extensive, Nikon and Canon's competitive disadvantages in the Chinese market are more than a little bit greater than ASML, not to mention that they lag behind ASML in terms of technology. From the recent equipment bidding of Shanghai Jita Semiconductor, ASML won the order of 6 lithography machines, and the Japanese company got nothing. It can be seen that the Japanese company has completely lost the Chinese market. Not only that, Japanese semiconductor companies have recently discovered that the United States is relaxing export restrictions. Many American companies have obtained export licenses. South Korea's Samsung, SK Hynix and TSMC are also expected to obtain export licenses, but Japan is the only one that has not yet obtained export licenses. No hope in sight. It can be said that this time Japan is charging forward for the United States to restrict China, but the United States once again cheated Japan with its backhand. It is no wonder that the Japanese media will say, China has not bypassed the United States. No more restrictions. Chip-making equipment is allowed into the mainland. The United States has always wanted to exclude Chinese semiconductors from the world's semiconductor supply chain and lock Chinese semiconductors into the 14 nanometers process. Get exhausted. From the United States, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan to establish a 4-party chip alliance, to the United States, Japan, and the Netherlands signing a tripartite agreement, and then to the United States offering $52 billion to attract foreign investment to build factories, but requiring companies that have received subsidies to stop chip production within 10 years. To expand the scale of fabs in China, advanced equipment must not be introduced. It can be said that the United States is doing everything possible to restrict the entry of chip manufacturing equipment into China. Judging from the current results, the United States has achieved this goal, but the price is also unbearable for the United States. Therefore, according to the latest news disclosed by the Wall Street Journal, Biden will relax restrictions and chip manufacturing equipment will be allowed to enter the mainland. Last year, the United States introduced new chip rules, but in order to win over Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan to join the quartet, the United States let go and gave Samsung and other companies a one-year export exemption. Now, as the export exemption is about to expire, companies such as Samsung are actively seeking to extend the export exemption. However, judging from the situation some time ago, the United States is very determined not to extend the export exemption. When Samsung and other companies were in a hurry, new news came out. The Biden team had changed their minds and planned to relax restrictions and allow the mainland to import chip manufacturing equipment that was originally restricted. Japan has been tricked by the United States again. After the news came out, American chip companies, South Korean chip companies, and Taiwanese chip companies were all very happy. After all, under the circumstances that the chip market demand is not high, it is undoubtedly possible to return to the Chinese market. Change the embarrassing situation of declining revenue. But for Japanese semiconductors, it is undoubtedly cheated by the United States again. As soon as Japan announced restrictions on the export of semiconductor equipment, the United States relaxed the export restrictions on semiconductor equipment, so that U.S. semiconductor equipment can occupy more market share. Japanese semiconductor manufacturers were pitted by the United States. Not only that, according to the information released by the Japanese memory chip manufacturer Kaisha, the U.S. memory chip manufacturer Western Digital has obtained an export license and can freely ship memory chips to the Chinese market, but Kaisha has not obtained an export license. Originally, Kaisha and Western Digital had almost the same market share, so Kaisha is estimated to be overtaken by Western Digital. It's no wonder that Japanese semiconductors and the Japanese media are so dissatisfied with this incident. However, judging from the current situation, it is estimated that it will be difficult for Japan to change the unfavorable situation. On the one hand, if you cancel or grant an export license just after the export restriction is announced, you will undoubtedly put your face on the ground and step on it. On the other hand, the export license is in the hands of the United States. The United States does not want to give it to Japanese companies, and it is difficult for Japan to influence the decision of the United States. What's more, judging from this incident, it is hard to guarantee that the United States did not do it with the mentality of cheating Japan. For Chinese manufacturers, whether it is restricting shipments or relaxing restrictions, there are certain advantages and disadvantages. What Chinese manufacturers should do is always to ensure technology research and development. After all, if the United States is loosening restrictions, it is very likely that there will be low price dumping. Without advanced technology, it is difficult to withstand this low price dumping. If the United States continues to restrict shipments, Chinese manufacturers can only meet domestic demand if they master core technologies.